For this exercise, you will need your Paths panel available as well as your Layers panel, and we'll eventually get to using brushes too, so you'll probably want to have those available as well. I've dragged my Paths panel to the left so that I can see both it and my layers at the same time, although usually I have it docked as a tab in my Layers panel. Grab your pen tool, and then instead of having it set to shape, which is what we've mostly worked with so far, set it to path. And just like when we did the type on a path, you'll notice that this will make a path layer in Paths and not in your Layers panel. So zoom on in, make sure your pen tool's set and ready to go. Set your first pen point and make a couple more. And I'm going to show you what has happened. Over here in Paths panel, you now have a work path. You'll also notice that there has not been a shape layer created in your Layers panel. The work path is temporary and will remain temporary until you do something to it to make it permanent. You know that it's the work path that is temporary because it says not only work path, but the words are in italics. And this means that if I close this file right now and open it up again later, that would be gone. To make it so that your pen tool path stays put, even if you close your document, double click on the work path and give it a name. I'm going to call this one Headphones. It will change the name to Headphones and also take it out of that italics. That is an indicator that your path will stay put and is no longer a temporary path. So go ahead and select all the way around the outside of these headphones with your path tool, pen tool, and then move on to the next bit. I'm going to do that right now. So I have my exterior all outlined, and here's my path and my Paths panel. Anytime I want to get off of that path, all I have to do is click out here in the gray area of my Paths panel, and now I can no longer see it. I could go about my business and building more layers and other stuff. If I'm on my Paths panel, then it's visible as a very thin, fine gray line. It's not actually active though until I grab my pen tool and command click on it so that I can see that there are the points. Now your pen tool should automatically be set to auto add delete, and your path operations should also automatically be set to exclude overlapping shapes. Unlike the shape function of the pen tool, you don't have to come up here and change that. Usually the way this is set up is just the way that you'll leave it. I always begin my shapes on the outside and then do the inside, just to make sure that it will figure out what is supposed to be negative space and what is actually supposed to be within my pen path. So then I'm going to go around the edge of this on the inside, and I'm going to do mine kind of quickly and sloppily, just for time's sake. You would definitely want to spend more time on this and get it absolutely perfect if you were doing a project that had something writing on it, for sure. I pretty much work with my thumb on the space bar and usually have my index finger sitting on the Z key so that I can quick flip my thumb from spacebar to command and just do an undo instead of trying to replace. If I put a point too far out, I don't usually hold down command and move it in. Usually I just hit undo a time or so and then set another point. But that's my preference. And then my middle finger is hovering over Option pretty much the whole time. And that triple key combination is what you use for your pen tool, which you will know if you've been watching any of those other tutorials leading up to this one. Alright, good enough for the tutorial. Good enough for the tutorial. Alright, so in my paths panel, I can see now that I have a shape of the headphones, that the area inside of the headphones, that negative space, is now gray and just the headphones are white. There are several ways we could take this right now. In fact, I'm going to just save this real quick just so in case something happens, my path tool doesn't go away. We're going to transfer the path to another file, and I'm going to show you how to put a really cool stroke on it. First things first, we need to grab the points. Right now this is just a paths and we're wanting to select the things that we want to copy over. So grab your pen tool, hold down Command, and then just click and drag until you've got all of the path in that selection and all of those are active. Then you can copy Command C and move on to a new file. So I'm going to hit Command N for new file, and I'm just going to choose the preset for US paper, which is 8.5 by 11 at 300 dpi, and click OK. Now when I paste Command V, it will actually paste that path right into my work path, and still nothing is going on in my layers panel. That's going to change though, so let's make a new layer so we can try out this cool stroke feature. First off, grab your brush tool. I do that by hitting B, and right click with your brush tool inside the canvas and choose a brush that goes from thin to thick. So remember I told you once upon a time that these thin to thick brushes were created for tablets that have pressure sensitivity? Well, the pen tool and stroking a path is how anybody with even just a mouse can use one of these brushes. So I have my brush, and then size it so that it's roughly that big, if you can see on my screen. So mine's about 150 pixels in diameter. Maybe a little less. Let's go for 120-ish. To create a stroke from a path, first off, make sure that you're on that work path. You'd know if you weren't because there wouldn't be anything on your screen. But if I'm on that path, and then I've got my brush tool all set up, grab your pen tool, make sure you have your pen tool, right click and choose Stroke Path. This will appear when you use this right click option, and we're going to make sure the tool is set to brush and that simulate pressure is checked on, and then it will create on a layer that you've made a pixel stroke of that brush, and it will simulate the pressure. So the smallest part of that brush will be down at the very beginning and then at the very end of that path. So you can see that it started here and it went up here. Now it started there because that's where I started my path. If I'd started it somewhere over here, the thinnest point would be here. So if you're going to do this sort of thing to a complex shape, it takes a little bit of pre-planning to figure out where your first point is going to go.